DaVinci Resolve is quickly becoming one of the most popular video editors, and the best part about it is that you can go and download it completely for free. So whether you're just starting out making videos or wanting to craft a cinematic masterpiece, DaVinci Resolve has all of the tools that you need to do that. In this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know to create your first video in DaVinci Resolve. After creating a new untitled project, you'll be greeted with the user interface. DaVinci Resolve has a ton of different workspaces that are suited to different tasks such as colour grading, visual effects and exporting. These are all accessible at the bottom of the screen. For this video and for most of your editing work, you will need to use the Edit workspace. To switch over to that page, head down to the bottom here and click on this button. Once you've loaded into the editing workspace, make sure that the media pool is visible. To do this, go over to the left hand corner and click on Media Pool. This will then load a new tab where you'll be able to see your videos once you've imported them. In order to import your footage, right click and select Import Media. This will then load your file explorer where you can then select your video clips and press open. This will then load them into the media pool and into your project. Once you've imported your video clips, find the clip that you want to add to your timeline. I want to start with this clip here. So I'm going to drag and drop this down into the timeline. This will automatically create the required tracks for the video and audio layers. But you'll also see that these views up here have changed. The view on the right is the timeline viewer and the view on the left is the trimmer. In order to use the trimmer, you can double click on a video layer in the media tab and then you can scrub through it. Then you can select in and out points within that footage to make editing a lot easier. Use these controls down in the right hand corner of the trimmer to set in and out points. So go to the point where you want your video to start, scrub through to the point where you want it to end, and then press out. Then you can drag and drop this onto the timeline. You might want to close the trimmer view, and so to do this you can go up to the right hand corner of the screen and click on this rectangle. Once you've added some clips to the timeline, you might want to know how you can more precisely edit them. One of the main ways is by clicking and dragging from the start and end points of a clip to shorten its in and out points. Then you can also drag around the clips in the timeline. Then you can also slice clips, which won't remove part of the clip from the timeline, but it will just break a longer clip into shorter clips. So go to the point where you want to slice your video layer, and then using the toolbar below the viewer, you can use the razor tool. Then go to the point where you want to cut it. For me it's on the playhead, and then just click. This will now split that video into two separate clips at the point where I split it. All you have to do to remove a clip from the timeline is select it, and then press the backspace key on your keyboard. In order to move around the timeline, you can hold down the control key and using the scroll wheel, you can scroll across the timeline. In order to zoom in and out on the timeline, hold down the Alt key and then scroll as well. If you want to scroll vertically and make the video previews bigger, then you can hold down Shift and use the scroll wheel. You might want to add some transitions to your video, so say if you wanted to add a crossfade between these two clips here. Go over to the top left hand corner and select Effects. Then, under the video transition section, you can find the perfect transition for what you're wanting to do. I'm just going to use the additive dissolve, but you can select from a whole range of different ones on this drop down list and add them to your video in the exact same way. Once you've found a transition that you want to use, just drag and drop it over the cut in the two videos. And then if you scrub through, you will see that this has taken effect. To add text to your video, go over to the effects panel once again, and then go over to titles. Then, using the titles here, you can just add the basic text or the text plus. There are also some other presets that you can use. However, for this example, I'm just going to use the basic text. So drag and drop it over the top of your video layer that will automatically create a new track. In order to adjust what the text layer says, select your text layer, then go up to the top right hand corner and click on the inspect button. Here you will see a giant text box where you can change the contents of the text layer. You can also then change the font, change the size, change the color, and also change certain other settings about how the text looks. If you wanted to move the text layer around, then you can either use the settings up in the inspector and adjust where it is using its position controls, or you can go to the bottom left hand corner of the viewer and click on this rectangle. This will then allow you to click and drag the text to move it around. Then you can treat that text layer like any other layer in your video. In order to add music to your project, much like you did with the video layer, right click and select Import Media. Then just find the music track in your files, and then just hit Open. This will then also be imported into your media bin, where you can then drag and drop it into the audio track. But you can then adjust this, much like you did with the video layers, by dragging from the end, using the slice tool, or deleting it using the backspace key. When you're ready to export your video, head over to the Deliver page. You can access this much like you did with the Edit panel at the bottom of the screen. This will then give you a whole load of different options for how you want to export your video. If like me you're just exporting for YouTube, then the YouTube 1080 preset will be perfect, so just click that. Then make sure that Render Entire Timeline is selected. Then you can name your file. Then you can browse for where you want to save it, and then you could change other settings if you really wanted to, however I'm just going to leave them as they are, and then hit Add to Render Queue. Then when you're ready to render it, press Render All. Then it will scrub through your timeline, rendering it out. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you did and you want to see more DaVinci Resolve and editing tutorials, then please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.